beginning, but I'll try to keep it kind of brief, and then if you guys have questions. So kind of in short, my name is Alex, and as Sarah was saying, I'm actually overseeing all international expansion for Kannaway and a couple other sister companies that we have. So I've been here a couple months now, about almost my third month. Originally actually from Utah. I was working at a couple different companies until this opportunity came across my life. And then I instantly made a decision to relocate from Salt Lake City to San Diego, where our headquarters is. Because for me, I saw instantly the power of the product, where the market is going, and it's really incredible people that are here with the right agendas. So for a long time, I worked for a lot of companies that kind of put profit, which cutting corners with products or compensation plan or making decisions just based on the bottom line. When I came here, I really realized, for a long time, a lot of the companies were losing a lot of money, but it didn't matter because they knew that this was a worthy cause. So that was very good, interesting for me to see that originally they're making decisions just to make the products or the opportunity much better, even if that meant a loss for the company, which I'd never seen in my experience. And luckily, we're very well funded. And I'll kind of go into the story of how things kind of work here. But we're very well funded, where we can do a lot of really unique projects and take on some big battles and still survive due to our capital funding from our investors and our founders. So in short, the best way to kind of explain what's going on, kind of who we are and what we're about and where we're going is, so I technically work for a company called General Hemp Investments. This was started about 8 to 9 years ago by a gentleman named Mike Yamas. Right now he's only 32 years old, so he started this when he was around in his mid-20s. Very successful early on in his life in real estate and hospitals and hotels, and he bought big chains and would flip them, so he made lots of money in that industry. And somewhere along his life, about 8, 9 years ago, he ran across a child, was a friend of his, had a child that had a very severe epilepsy. Something to the point of hundreds of seizures a day, multiple grand mal seizures as a baby. So you can imagine the quality of life was non-existent. To the point that, the child could barely open her eyes and, had really no quality of life, really severe drugs, many brain surgeries, and simply nothing was helping, which is basically in a vegetative state. And at that time, the rise of CBD was kind of starting to make an entrance into the U.S. It was very underground, kind of black market. Nobody really knew what it was because hemp and marijuana were still very synonymous as cannabis, and complete misinformation, a lot of bad publicity about hemp, which is a whole different story. So he realized that they gave some of the CBD to this child, and almost very quickly the seizures stopped, and the quality of life significantly improved. And now this child is able to go to school. They never thought, she'd make it past, kindergarten, and she's starting now for 5th grade. So that's how the company really started. He understood this CBD. He was never in cannabis. Nobody didn't really care about cannabis. But he realized the CBD from hemp oil, which is completely different. Hemp and marijuana are very different. They're sister plants, but completely different composition and uses. And you realize that hemp has no psychedelic effect, just pure medicine, and millions of things you can do from the industrial hemp, from paper to plastic to batteries to construction to clothing. So many things you can do, and it's such an incredible plant for the environment. To the point that after Chernobyl happened in Ukraine many years ago, they actually planted hemp to clean out the soil from radiation. It's a very powerful detoxifier of our environment, and it can grow in about 90 days of full harvest up to 20 feet tall. So he kind of understood this, and being an entrepreneur, he said that he had to be a part of this. So he kind of made it his life mission, started General Hemp Investments, which was initially created to be a capital investment company into all things hemp. Primarily our first vision was CBD, which is cannabidiol, which makes up about 40% of hemp extract. And research has shown, specifically in the last 20 years, how powerful CBD really is. It actually goes back way beyond the last 20 years. In the 60s and 50s, the U.S. government actually hired the Israeli government to do clinical studies of CBD, because at that time, medical marijuana research was not legal in the United States. But the government understood this, and they found out how powerful this is, and they actually patented a lot of the uses of CBD. By the U.S. government did their own patents. So the CBD and hemp goes a long way back in our history, but it's been oppressed for a very long time, up until the Farm Bill of 2014 passed, which basically gave companies the ability to utilize the industrial part of hemp, which is the mature stalk, which is, again, the stalk can be up to 20 feet tall, and then also the seeds, and the reason they do that is because the stalk and the seed of the hemp are very low in THC naturally, and they figured that's safe, and THC is the psychedelic part of marijuana. That's what gets you high. But hemp naturally has about 0.3% THC, and you couldn't take enough hemp. You could have bags and bags and pounds and kilos of hemp, and you will never ever get high. You will never ever feel any psychedelic effect because it's just THC doesn't exist. Completely opposite. Marijuana, very high in THC, very low in CBD. So marijuana has very different therapeutics, but it's mostly because of the THC and the high effect. So to kind of step back, so then General Hemp, they started to invest in a bunch of different companies to get some projects going, and then they created Medical Marijuana Incorporated, which is the first ever publicly traded company in cannabis in the world. So the first ever cannabis-based public company is Medical Marijuana Inc. And from there, the funny part is we do nothing with marijuana, but that name, we understood that the future of cannabis is going to be incredibly lucrative, and that's the way that specifically the United States is going. And this was many years ago. The founders understood that medical marijuana, medical cannabis is going to be the next massive commodity in the world. And it's not disappointed us at all, as you see more and more countries and more states, and it's close to 30 states now have a medical law, and dozens now have a recreational law. Eventually, we believe the entire country will have laws that will be completely conducive and very, very favorable, specifically to CBD. I mean, our vision is that CBD will be something that you will find in your grocery store next to vitamin C, to your flaxseed oil, you will find CBD. We know that's where eventually this is going, but it's just a matter of us educating and informing and creating a professional type of company that operates it safely with quality and professionalism. So Medical Marijuana Inc., so that's kind of their overriding mission, is actually medical cannabis education. Right now we kind of jostle between 1 and 2 in the world in SEO when it comes to medical marijuana. So people Google medical marijuana. Typically, we are the #1 site and resource everything to do with medical cannabis, which is very, very exciting for us. It drives a lot of traffic to our parent company, which really helps us with investments and then helps us really fund a lot of our projects. One of which, Medical Marijuana Incorporated, started 2 subsidiaries. One is Kannaway, and that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. First ever direct selling cannabis company in the world, in the industry, period. So very excited about that. And then there's another one called Hemp Meds, which is more works with kind of therapeutical, and we work with governments that require prescriptions, and we help really shape and change laws all over the world when it comes to people safely and confidently importing cannabis and CBD to those in very, very critical need. So, for instance, in Mexico, with the help of Hemp Meds, which is our sister company to Kannaway, we actually worked with the foundation of epileptic families and kids, and we took our message with our PR team straight to the president of Mexico, and we forced him, literally put him on camera and forced him to concede and change the cannabis law. So for the first time ever, the last few months, cannabis has been able to actually import into Mexico, which is a huge victory really for the entire world now that we have Mexico legalizing therapeutic cannabis, really because of the mission of Hemp Meds. And this is something that happened before I even got here. So it's very, very exciting, and we use a lot of that information and clinical studies and things like that Hemp Meds is doing in these different countries with physicians. We have the exact same product in Kannaway, which is just a dietary supplement, which is a pretty phenomenal message for a network marketing company. So that's Hemp Meds, and then the other leg of Medical Marijuana Inc. is Kannaway. And Kannaway's been around, I think, since about 2014. They had an incredible start. I think they did a couple million the first day. But the business was completely mismanaged. And what they ended up doing, they ended up pretty much cleaning house with the executive team, and they brought in some new management that actually has incredible experience in network marketing, and not just hemp activists, actual business people. And since then, the company has grown every single month for 18 months in a row. And we're growing about 25 to 30% a month, which is great. But what I really love, and what's more important for me, is our auto ships are growing double digits every month. And I come from a lot of companies where auto ship and attrition is a major cancer. But what we're seeing is people are getting in, and they're actively very excited to get on to regular monthly shipments, which is phenomenal for our business because obviously it creates a great customer base, which is absolutely vital to the longevity of any network marketing company. And also keeps you away from all these DEMA and FTC issues, because majority of our people are actually 100% legitimate customers that are changing their lives with the products. So it's been really, really fun to watch. And the great thing is, so the last 18 months is really, really when we started to establish ourselves. And I think this month, for the first time ever, we'll have the biggest month in Kannaway, about $2 million this month, which still means we're very small. We have about 60,000 people in the system, but about 10,000 of those are actually actively recruiting and building and staying active. So you can see we're pretty much non-existent in the world of network marketing. We're very, very small, but growing very, very quickly. And not like a rocket. It's very sustained and very consistent incremental growth every month. We're adding to the base, and the base is actually staying. So we're not a recruitment-based business right now. We really are a recruit, retain, and train, and then recruit, retain. So it's been really fun to watch a very organic growth in Kannaway. But our products, they're all centered right now 100% around CBD. So the CBD is kind of our staple. It's in most of our products, with the exception of our essential oils, which has the terpenes of cannabis, which is kind of a different compound. But that's what we do, and we're the first ever company in U.S. history to actually market and sell CBD to the end consumers. And we also have patents for our CBD for antioxidant and an anti-inflammatory claims that we can make with our CBD. That's for a patent with the U.S. government. So the fun thing here is now CBD is becoming a very, very hot topic. Cannabis in general. Now, if you go anywhere on the planet, you really can't go anywhere where there isn't some kind of a cannabis conversation happening in the government or socially. So it's a very exciting time. And right now, what I'm aware of is in 2018, there's about 3 major countries. We have Australia and Canada, to name a few. They've got now cannabis laws on the books that are going to be coming into effect next year. So basically, the message we have is it truly is we're coming to a point where modern prohibition is starting to end, and we're perfectly positioned with the right people and the right message to really take advantage of that. So in terms of Kannaway, it's just getting started. We believe this really is a kind of a startup deal, and we're doing some incredible things, but we're looking for some really good people that share the same message and vision that can capture the kind of the historic timing to really take this thing to the next level. So I don't know if there's a specific questions. There's a lot more to the story, but I don't know if there's specific questions you guys have on the call.
Anybody have any questions?
I guess I'll ask a question. So I talked to a couple people today, and 2 people had said that there's a couple other companies that sell cannabis. So what gives us the edge or the advantage over the other companies?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, yeah, you're completely right. So there are a lot of companies now entering the space. A lot of, venture capitalists and people are understanding. If you do any kind of market research, so right now, for instance, in Europe, the cannabis, the hemp specifically, when I talk cannabis, hemp, grew about 3,000%. They're one of the biggest exporters of hemp. So I think a lot of global people and business people are understanding that this is huge opportunity. So there's a ton of CBD companies popping up in the United States. A couple of things that's very important to understand is the laws and the regulations are very vague and very complicated, to the point that the DEA constantly and very frequently contradicts itself. So the space is very convoluted when it comes to legal, to the point that many of the hemp community in the United States actually has sued the DEA because the DEA was contradicting their own laws, and we won. So these other CBD companies kind of take a step back. So how it works is you're able to use the stalk and seed of hemp for whatever needs you have for industrial. This was originally created to make paper, plastics, oils, for cars, batteries. I mean, you can make anything out of hemp. But we use the loophole, and then we actually extract it and take CBD, and we're the first ones to market that. But what the government requires is the CBD. There's many companies in America. They grow their own hemp locally. For instance, Colorado, Nevada, Kentucky. Tons of states have now allowed farmers to grow hemp and allowed them to extract CBD and to sell it. The problem is, once they sell it outside of their state, so if you're a company in Colorado and you start to sell it outside of Colorado, you're in immediate breach of federal law, because that product cannot cross state lines, even if it's shipped from one kind of safe jurisdiction from Colorado to, say, California. That's still breaking the law, because now it's crossing state lines. So anything that's made in America, that's produced, manufactured, and the raw materials American, has to stay within that state that it is extracted and made. And I would say 90 to 95% of the American companies that say, USA made hemp, if they ever ship outside of that, online or e-commerce, they're in direct breach of the DEA law. And again, people are doing it, companies are doing it, and the main reason is that the DEA has not put any resources, financial resources, into enforcing these laws. Because for one, it's not a drug, you'll never get high, and two, it's completely safe. So it's not a big target and a big priority for the DEA. But if anything ever happens, if Sessions or whoever, takes a sharp turn and starts enforcing these laws, all of these companies can be shut down tomorrow with very, very simple probable cause. So for us, what we do is we actually import all of our CBD, all the raw materials from Europe. And that is how you can bypass these local interstate laws, because none of the CBD is made in America or sourced in the U.S., and that gives us ability to ship to all the 50 states, 100% legally within the DEA, to the point that even on our back office, once you enroll, we have position papers that directly address the DEA, and our CEO of Medical Marijuana Inc. actually made an incredible video, and the video was intended literally as a response to the DEA, saying, you guys need to enforce your own laws, and these are the laws, and this is why Kannaway, and this is why CBD and everything, why we're doing it's completely legal. So like I said, there's a lot of companies. A lot of them could be doing it kind of in the black market. Also, something we're very, very proud of and sets us apart is our triple lab testing. So we've created a quality process for most CBD companies. So we test the quality, we test THC levels, heavy metals, fungus, bacteria, all of these very, very important things. We test it right when we harvest. We test it once it comes in through the borders, the DEA, the FDA, and even the ATF. We have to have special clearances and special tests to make sure it's clean, it's clear, there's no toxins or contaminants. And then we finish the goods for, cosmetics and supplements, and then we test the finished goods a third time. We're one of the leading labs in the entire world that primarily specializes in CBD and cannabis testing. So all of this is very, very expensive, very complicated, and I think there's pretty much not many companies doing this, to the point that a lot of these companies you see actually will buy their materials and their CBD raw materials from us, because we have the legal supply and we have some of the best supply. We spent the last 10 years working with the right farmers, the right producers, the right strains, the right species, the right environment, the right soil content, non-GMO, organic. So we've really perfected, and we keep our sources very proprietary, and we've got special arrangements with a lot of these growers that we're kind of their exclusive supplier and buyer. So what I would say is not all CBD is created equal from where it comes from, the quality, and then also a major part of it as well is it kind of takes a little bit kind of a stoichiometry understanding, because you'll see a lot of products and you really need to understand how many milligrams, what kind of how their label is done, because a lot of companies may have very, very small concentrations, but they could market in a different way. So a lot of times you're not comparing apples to apples when you're looking at the labels of different CBD companies. So for us, we feel like, for one, price-wise, we're very competitive, just in standard retail companies. Our quality is unmatched. It's very safe to say that we have the leading company in CBD with the quality of our sourcing and how serious we take our supply chain. And the biggest thing that sets us apart really is in Kannaway. It's the compensation engine. There's really no other company. There's a couple other MLMs that are trying to start a CBD MLMs. The reality is, with our funding and everything, we are the only one that allows people that want to break into the cannabis business because they understand the power, the therapeutic power. We give them now a vehicle to own little franchises of what we anticipate to be one of the biggest gold rush booms the world has ever seen. As soon as a lot of the laws start to be much more favorable to businesses. So that's kind of, I don't know if I answered your question. So it really depends where they're sourcing it, what kind of quality they have, how much concentration they're using, what kind of purities. So we have 3 different blends that we patented, from very raw to slightly purified to very, very concentrated purified. So it's a green, blue, gold, and that's something that actually Kannaway set that standard. And then also on top of that, we've got 2 other companies underneath General Hemp umbrella that are now working on pharmaceutical drugs. So internally, we have PhD clinical researchers that are working on clinical trials of very similar products that we're offering in Kannaway. So we've got an incredible amount of leverage here at the company, like I've never seen. We're very, very, very focused on science. Very focused on bringing in the best of the best in research and partnering with the best physicians all over the world, because the product has such an incredible story. Our whole mission is to show people how safe it is, and that if cannabis and CBD was legalized and not demonized and made much more readily available, the banking system would make it much more favorable for businesses to grow, that we could put about 60% of pharmaceutical drugs completely off the market. And that's what the studies are showing. So you can understand we've got massive opportunities, but we have a massive opposition from a lot of special interests. But that's why I love Kannaway, because the message of network marketing, the message is so strong and so resonant for so many people, regardless of your politics or who you are, where you are. If you show people the benefits of CBD and that there's really no risk, and that it can virtually change. I mean, I see the stories every day, and I'll never make any claims because we're not a drug, but I've seen the stories time and time again from people to literally change their children and their lives, whether they're sick or healthy, because we are so deficient in cannabinoids for so long that we're finding out there's a lot of neurological autoimmune diseases and disorders are now being directly linked with cannabinoid deficiency, such as Alzheimer's. Has been on the rise ever since cannabis was legalized and left our food chain. We're seeing a huge spike in a lot of neurological issues, and now people are starting to really point that back to cannabinoid deficiency. Our body simply cannot make enough to sustain our system. You have to supplement it at this point in kind of modern civilization, because for so long, for 40 million years plus, it's been such a frequent part of diet that we used to always get it, but now that it was, the supply completely dried out, people are getting very, very sick. So that's kind of, so that's what I kind of explain. Not all CBD is equal. You can go online and buy things, but you really don't know where you're getting it, who's sourcing it, what's the quality. There's a ton of companies in Oregon and Colorado that are just, who knows, maybe in their garage, squeezing plants. I don't know how they're doing it. But again, because this industry is not very regulated since it's a supplement, there's not a lot of regulation, so we've taken it upon ourselves to self-regulate. to make sure that we have the best quality, the most professional quality, and then really a greater quality that you can trust to, for your kids and your family to take. So it's kind of a long-winded answer to kind of how we're different. That there's lots of factors what makes us very different. And the one thing I'm proud about is here at General Hemp and in Kannaway and Hemp Meds, we are the ones that started the market space. So we've kind of trailblazed everything. So everything we're seeing is kind of a result of what we've done. And we're never satisfied. We're constantly pushing the envelope. For instance, for Europe, we're going to work on a brand new blend that's really not even available in the market in any CBD company, which is very, very exciting. So we're going to be constantly on the forefront of everything to do with CBD and hemp in all of its uses.
The business is fun, but really the products is why we're here. So, in short, I'm sorry if it's redundant for anyone that understands hemp, but basically, about 80 years ago, there was a movement. Some may be familiar with it or not. We call it reefer madness. So there was an administration that basically declared a war on drugs, and marijuana was one of the targets. So marijuana was classified and scheduled as a narcotic and enforced. There was a company, ironically enough, here in San Diego, the Scripps family. And if anybody knows California, there's Scripps Valley, everything is Scripps here. So they were a very prominent, very wealthy company. And they owned a newspaper company and a wood company. And they understood that hemp, anything you do with hemp or with wood, anything you do with petroleum, virtually any product in this world that is made of the basic fundamentals of petroleum, oil, or plastic can be made from hemp, specifically paper products. They understood that. They lobbied the government, and the government instilled a tax on hemp growers that literally put them out of business. They just simply could not afford to grow hemp. Basically, hemp went extinct. And at that point, now that the hemp kind of left our society because it was just taxed to death, all the animals and all the products that we were eating, meat products, poultry, virtually everything in our modern food chain was eating hemp as their feed. Hemp is very cheap to grow. I mean, it can grow a full harvest in 90 days. It's incredible for the environment. It locks CO2 in the ground, and it actually detoxifies the soil. So hemp was very readily grown, and it's a weed. So they call it a weed. So it can grow virtually in any temperatures, any environment. So it's such a lucrative plant to grow, and it can make virtually anything. So at that time, in those times, we were all receiving, whether we knew it or wanted it or understood it, research is showing we were receiving about 50 milligrams of CBD, cannabidiol, which is just a naturally finding constituent of hemp oil. So our diets, we were all receiving about 50 milligrams of CBD. I mean, why is that important? Why does CBD really even matter? And the reason it matters is in the last 20 years, research has shown that very clearly that we have a system. It's an endogenous system that we're all born with, that we were all designed with, called the endocannabinoid system. And this is one of the biggest regulatory systems in the entire body. It's bigger than your circulatory system, bigger than your respiratory system, and the receptors, the CB receptors, are found everywhere in your body, in your gut, in your brain, on virtually every cell. Everything is regulated by this endocannabinoid system. And the funny thing is, nobody was teaching this. Nobody was really talking about this. So for me personally, I went to college for a biochemistry degree. And for a long time, I finished all my pre-med qualifications. My whole goal was to go to medical school. And I took anatomy, I took physiology, I took biochemistry, organic chemistry from some of the top professors in the world here at the University of Utah. And not once did we ever learn about the endocannabinoid system. They're saying about 2 out of 9 universities even teach it, which is bizarre to me. So basically, so we have this endocannabinoid system of receptors that virtually regulates all of your functions in your body. Primarily, we're finding its functions for neurological functions. So what our product does and what CBD does, it's completely not a medicine. It's not a medical device. It's not a drug. it basically feeds your endocannabinoid system. And once you feed that, that system then regulates all of your physiological functions. And what we're seeing, and that's why it's so incredibly effective in epilepsy, since epilepsy is all neurological, and there's some other things also involved, but we're learning that the CBD helps significantly regulate all of these neurological dysfunctions, and it can help bring the body back to homeostasis. And that's what's stopping the seizures. And we're finding it's phenomenal for anxiety, it's phenomenal for depression, anything that's neurochemical issues. Anything that has a CB receptor is now it's basically like a knob. If you're running too hot on something, your hormones, or depression, or too much anxiety, your body can turn it down. Maybe if you're not producing something, then the body can help turn it up. So we feed the system that regulates all of your body function. And the science has been 100% clear through clinical studies. Endocannabinoid system deficiency is now, we're starting to find out from a lot of researchers, not even our company, just different universities and researchers we work with, that there was a recent paper came out from the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, that's showing that they can now link the increase of Alzheimer's, one of very debilitating disorder. They can show scientifically the increase of Alzheimer's is linked to the deficiency and the prohibition of hemp. They're showing that now that the CBD was cut out of our diet, and people didn't even know we had an endocannabinoid system, Alzheimer's is now one of the highest points in modern history. And this is a lot of autoimmune disorders. There's things for autism, anxiety, a lot of neurological brain disorders. They're starting to see the deficiencies in cannabinoids because our body makes cannabinoids naturally, but they just simply don't make enough of it because it was supplemented through modern history and even ancient history to hemp. So hemp's been around for 40 million years, and every civilization, if you really do research in history, every single civilization, every major empire, every major power in the world was really literally built on hemp. For instance, the British, they built all of their ships, sailed and rope out of hemp, and that's why they founded Australia. They sent their prisoners there, and they actually were harvesting hemp for the empire so they could expand. And a lot of people eating it. I even talked to my grandparents in Russia. They used to get hemp leaves and crush them up and put them on different irritations on their skin. So people have used hemp. It's been a part of our diet for a very, very long time. And now that it's gone, we're seeing an increase of a lot of disorders that could have been managed, or now we can start to manage going forward. So that's why CBD is so powerful, not only for a lot of people asking, this is just for really sick people. Yeah, it works for epilepsy, or it helps autism, but I'm completely healthy. But the reality is there's no way you're getting enough cannabinoids in your diet. So we've got a product for virtually everyone. And it's very, very exciting. So our demographic is literally any animal and any human that lives and breathes, because we're all born with this system. And so people always ask, is it really that important? And we go back to the fact that when you're first born, in mother's breast milk, we're seeing that one of the first things ever a brand new child receives from the mother is cannabinoids. It's the cannabinoids that the mother produces. And it's vital to brain and all of your functions to be regulated properly. To the point that that's one of the very first nutrients that a child receives. It's that important, and the fact that it's been taken out of our society, we're seeing is causing a lot of these things that could be prevented. So people that are taking CBD now, majority of it, at least for me, it's a preventative thing. Science has shown that CBD is very effective, clinically shown, very effective in cell repair. Very, very, one of the most effective things in anti-inflammation. As you guys know, inflammation really is the root cause of all disease. Something gets inflamed, that means there's some kind of agitant, it means your body, there's something happening. And CBD receptors can help the inflammation of all the cells in your body. So, and that's what our products do. We have topicals. We have our number one selling product is salve. And it kind of looks like a buttery kind of paste. Incredible for virtually anything topical. So I use it for I have a 16-month-old, and if he gets a diaper rash, or even if he gets a sunburn, or if he gets a mosquito bite, because CBD is anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antifungal, and it helps your body start to heal. So I use it for everything, and it's a phenomenal product. A lot of people use it for arthritis. A lot of people use it for back pain. Hearing a lot of people put it on their temples for headaches. My wife had a root canal, and she doesn't take pharmaceutical drugs, so she was putting the salve directly on her gums. That was the only way she survived until she saw the dentist. And this product is really the gateway product to the rest of our products. So, and then we also have a cosmetic line for face washes, moisturizers, serums, toner, exfoliant, and we're releasing a mask and a couple other things we're working on. And I've done enough research and worked with our developers, and there are actual claims, at least in Europe, that CBD in a cosmetic, it has been clinically proven to generate cell repair, and again, anti-inflammatory. So a lot of these skin conditions, whether it's acne, whether it's sunspots, a lot of these things that are people experience every day. CBD is very, very effective as a topical because your skin has millions and millions of CBD receptors on your skin, and that's your biggest organ. So our cosmetic products are by far the most unique you will ever see anywhere in any store, any company. There's very few CBD companies that are doing cosmetics, so we're very, very proud of what we're doing there. We also have products for daily use, low CBD. We have AM PM, which is also fortified with a formula called B-Bong, which I could spend probably 10 hours talking about B-Bong, but it's for this purpose. It's a formula of herbs and different ingredients based from South Korea, from one of the royal family lineages that they used for thousands of years. And we partner with a company that owns the royalties to this formula, and it's called B-Bong, which in Korean means the secret. So we use the B-Bong with CBD. We've shown that they can synergize, and our CBD really helps the absorption of B-Bong, and B-Bong significantly helps the absorption of CBD. So that's another thing that makes us very, very unique. Nobody can have that. And that's another thing that kind of sets us apart. And the B-Bong is found in some of our topicals and also in some of our ingestibles. But I would say kind of the superstar product we have is we call it the Gold Premium Hemp Oil, and it's oil that's been purified. But when you take just complete hemp oil, it's kind of black. It looks like tar. It's got wax. It's got omega-3, omega-6, fatty acids. It's an incredible superfood, and that's why hemp is so popular in food products. It's incredible protein. It's just a very well-rounded food source. It's one of the biggest superfoods in the world. So when it comes out black, so we have one that's called the green-blue blend. It's very raw, and it kind of tastes like you mow your lawn and then you melt it. It kind of tastes very grassy, and it contains about 50 milligrams of CBD per serving. And then you also get we call it full spectrum, because there's about 140 cannabinoids found in hemp. So you get a little bit of all of them, which are all very beneficial, and you get your omegas and fatty acids, which are great for your brain. And then the next one up is if you add heat and pressure with CO2, you convert CBDA, which is a CBD acid. You take the carboxyl, it turns into CBD. By heating it, you make raw, and you can really spike the CBD concentration. So the acid group falls off, and it turns into CBD. And that's what we call the gold. It's about 24% pure, and you get about 120 milligrams per serving. And again, we recommend, and science has shown, all we really need is about 50 milligrams a day, just as a normal, healthy person. So this product is about twice your daily need of maintenance if you're healthy. So we have a lot of people that really need a higher dose of CBD, whether they have some serious health issues. It's one of our best products for them, and it's by far my favorite product. It's the one I use at least twice a day. And then the next step further, so hemp has a very trace amount of THC, which is the cannabinoid that is the psychoactive cannabinoid. So that's the one that gets you high. Now, marijuana is very, very high in THC and very low in CBD, and hemp is very low in THC, very high in CBD. So hemp still contains about 0.3% THC. So we have a product for those that are in the military or professionals that might have drug testing. Even though it's 0.3%, you will never be high. You'll never feel high. it could possibly test on a drug test. So we have one that's called Pure, where we take CBD and we completely 100% isolate it. It turns into 100% pure CBD. Then we mix that with MCT oil, which is a coconut oil, and now that's a THC-free CBD supplement. So people give it to kids, pregnant mothers, just people that just really don't want any THC at all. So that's kind of some of the products, and then we have some energy chews where we add some CBD with caffeine, for kind of a healthy energy. And then we've recently released a vape, and this is kind of unique. A lot of people think vaping is very unhealthy. We're finding out there's a research in Temple University where there's a researcher, a doctor, saying that he foresees and he believes all pharmaceutical drugs, all supplements should be vaporized. He's finding research that the most effective way to get a drug or a medicine in your body is through vapor, through the cardiopulmonary system, because that way you're not losing anything through your digestive system. So we came up with a vape of 100 milligram vape, literally just CBD, MCT oil, again it's just coconut oil, and then we add terpenes from plants, and terpenes have incredible benefits, and terpenes is what makes flowers their smell. So when you smell a flower, you're smelling the plant's terpenes. So we had terpenes in there to really make it a full, very inclusive vape. And a lot of vapes use propylene glycol, which has been shown to be a carcinogenic as the delivery system. And we just use oil, and all it does is a wick, heats up the oil, so it just vaporizes, no other chemicals. And people absolutely love our CBD vapes because it's an easy way to get your CBD. People love it for headaches, for migraines, or just for your daily supplement of just having this vape. And there's no smoke. You can, you suck it in. You literally blow nothing out. But you can just taste the terpenes and the CBD. I'm sure I'm missing other products. But again, for us, it's just the beginning. And for us, our ultimate vision is to be all around the world, so every single human has some kind of access to this. And we're doing that also through our activist movements, with our foundations. We have a foundation of families that we donate product to, and collect their stories. So it makes our message stronger. So we're much more than a product company. It truly is a kind of a movement company. We want to be all over the world, and eventually, we kind of want to be like Amway. If anyone's familiar with Amway, they've got pages and pages of products. Or companies like Melaleuca, where it's just their portfolio is just massive catalog, and we want to be the most premier hemp company in the world. So we're going to do plastics. We're going to do a lot of food supplements, proteins, green type of foods. We're even looking into pet foods or supplements for animals. My passion is, since I have kids, we're going to work on developing a line for children for multivitamins with CBD. So it's very exciting, and so what you see now in a few months will be a completely different company. And I imagine we'll be much bigger. We'll have a much bigger developed portfolio of products. And I'm hoping we really, my goal is to have 1 million customers. And there'll be 1 million people on our product. Financially it'd be great for everybody. And then just the fact that people can have access to an alternative solution to their problems without going to pharmaceuticals is a very, very gratifying project. So if you Google CBD, right now there's 20,000 plus clinical articles. I strongly recommend if you're very interested in kind of learning more about products, which I very, very urge you to do that, be very educated. We've got a site called echoconnection.org. This is our foundation. They donate, our owner, from out of his own pocket, donates tens of thousands of dollars worth of free products to very, very needy families that are just financially afforded. And we collect their stories. We're creating a community. People go on there, they share stories, they exchange recommendations. So it's a community of families that can talk to each other, and people that just have a resource that are just completely desperate for some solution that doctors can't offer are coming to us, and we're helping educate them. And on that site as well, our goal is to be the biggest database for CBD research in the world. So right now we're collecting papers from all over the planet for every single diagnosed ailment. So if you go to echoconnection.org, you scroll to the bottom, we're under our education site, And you can literally see everything, ALS, anxiety, nausea, depression. And under that category, we have a white paper that we've researched and found that's connected to it. So when people say, what is CBD? Does it help Lyme's disease? You can go on echoconnection.org, look up Lyme disease research, and it'll tell you exactly the clinical study of how much milligrams they were using, the results, how the study was, who did the study, and what the results are. And for those of you who have never tried that product, where obviously we're not FDA approved because we're not a drug. We have drugs that we're developing, but Kannaway's not a drug. But we just tell people, you know what, the research is there. You don't need to take our word for it. You can go to Echo Connection, where we've kind of helped gather all the research. And literally, whatever you or your family, any ailment, you can go on there and you can search that category and find 10, 15 papers of completely different independent studies and the results. And that's why I think, which I believe 100%, that in the next 10, 15 years, CBD will be in every grocery store. It'll be right there next to vitamin C, right next to your flaxseed oil. It's going to go mainstream. And for us, the timing is historic. And us being the first company ever to do CBD, we're doing CBD the legal right way in the United States. A lot of companies are not doing it legally. We do it fully legally. And we're going to take advantage of Prohibition ending. Just when alcohol ended, Prohibition, Budweiser, King of Beers, was prepared, and they capitalized. And there's no other company in the world like Kannaway. We're just waiting for once CBD and hemp is no longer, a fringe product. We believe we will be at the forefront of catching that historic global wave, just like with alcohol prohibition, with a product you can truly be proud of. It's comparing it to alcohol, which isn't so great. And so there's a lot more on CBD than I could probably ever explain. But if you go to Kannaway.com, echoconnection.org, medicalmarijuanainc.com, there's a ton on CBD, a ton on endocannabinoid system, where your receptors are, how they work, why they work, and a lot of history on hemp, and a lot of really good literature on our CBD and why we do CBD and what CBD does for you, and kind of the vision for the company. So that's kind of an very general overview.
The gift card program and how we could use that to our advantage to get customers?
I love the gift cards. So when you enroll on a value pack as a BA, you instantly get two $50 gift cards, and they're all electronic. So you get links, and you can send a gift card to either a prospective customer, and they can get $50 off their initial order, exactly how it sounds, it's a credit. Or if you've got somebody that's enrolling as a BA, and if they come in on a value pack or higher, you can give them the card as well, and then they can apply that to their first BA purchase, first distributor purchase. And it's very, very, very easy to use. You just email the link, and what I love about it, it's got a timer on it. So I believe it has 24 hours for them to use this link, which is perfect because it creates urgency. And if you just talk to somebody and they're like, yeah, I'm interested, you say, I'm going to send you a link, it's going to expire in, even just say 12 hours, you got to get it, you get $50 off, and you'll never not want this product. And so when you buy the bigger packs when you enroll, I think the biggest pack we have called the Total Experience Pack. I think it has about 10 gift cards, and all of that is just electronically loaded into your virtual office. And then you would just put in an email and send it to, I want to send one to Sarah. Sarah gets a link. It says, congratulations, you have a gift card. You click a link, and then that link will take them to an enrollment page, and automatically it will say you have a $50 credit. And that'll just come right off the purchase, whatever they put into their shopping cart. And the cool thing is, so once you run out of your cards, you can buy cards, and the cost to a distributor is $10 for a $50 gift card. So a lot of leaders will just load up on gift cards. They'll have their one-on-ones, their big trainings, and they'll say, hey, tonight only, if you're interested, I can get you $50 off. Come try the product. And our products are pretty reasonably priced. They could try some of our Pure or some of the other really incredible products for a very low entry price with the gift card. I've never seen anything like that, but we have a ton of customers that we eventually convert into distributors, which is exactly what you want to do in network marketing. If people build their belief, they get in with $50 off, and then they understand it, they feel the product, and then they upgrade to a BA, and then once they're a distributor, their 30-day clock starts to fast start qualify, which is a whole different conversation. But we have a way to have people lock in tripling their bonuses for the lifetime of their account. If they take action, they enroll 3 people in the first 30 days. We will triple their first order bonuses forever, which is incredibly lucrative. So, and then from there, if you accumulate a certain amount of volume milestones within your first 60 to 90 days, there's another potential $2,000. So I always tell people, get them in as a customer, have them build their belief in the product, have them really experience it, have them learn, and then turn them to a BA because their 30-day clock starts. So it's a very, very easy 1, 2, 3 model. You know, $50 off, get in as a customer, super cheap for them to try the product. They instantly will feel it, then they'll get excited, they'll want to share it, you upgrade them, and now they have a fresh 30 days to earn easily, well, not easily, it takes work, but a very clear-cut path to earn, you know, $2,500 to $3,000 in the first 90 days, which statistically in this business, if anybody earns any money within their first 60 days, they see money on their pay card. I mean, it's something like 75 to 80% more likely to stay with you as a loyal distributor, because they'll see that the system and the program works. So it's incredibly set up from a customer to distributor, and then once you kind of get into the higher levels of compensation, then you guys were ever interested. The very highest level really is very lucrative to very big networkers, where typically companies will pay about 7.5% on total volume. If you've got a business of 1 million points a month, we'll pay you about 7.5%. So what is that, about $75,000? But in Kannaway, we've done the math and the way it was designed. That same million points pays out about 8.3%. So from 75, that's on average, it will be about $83,000. So it's really top heavy and very, very front heavy, which is why we're seeing so many brand new people with no experience being very successful, because of the $50 gift cards, because of the customer program. You know, and customers can get their products for free as well. Actually, if a customer gets in and finds 3 friends that are customers, the average of that order will then be free for them the following week. So then customers can now get their products free, and they're recruiting other customers for your business. So you can see it's kind of got every angle covered, and it's very lucrative and very, very simple to understand. So it kind of went farther than the gift card, but it's kind of how it all works together. Vision for the company. So that's kind of an very general overview.
No, that's awesome, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any other questions about anything?
I got a question, Alex.
Yeah, sure.
For the auto shift, is it 110 CV or is it 28? I've seen kind of both of them.
Great question. So very cool, and I like I wish I could take credit for this, but it's completely not my idea. So the required active volume is dependent on rank. So the company understands that when you're brand new, when you're just a brand ambassador, the first level director, you're joining the company to make money, especially if you have intention to spread products, make money. But we decided we don't want to have a major monthly overhead. So it's 28 points for those initial levels. And virtually any product you buy, you can get 28 points very easily. And then as you progress through the comp, and you're reaching commissions, pretty substantial commissions, then it goes to 55 points. And then ultimately, once you're making pretty significant income, it caps out 110 to be active. That helps.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Alex, thank you so much. You've covered so much. And if anybody has any questions, you can get back to us, or we'll get your questions answered somehow. Okay? Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Alex.
All right. Bye. Y'all have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.